Hi everyone, Bernard here. I hope you're all staying safe and well, and welcome to my film and TV channel. I hope you enjoy what I've got for you today, and please check out as you're watching this little links on screen as well for different things for my Facebook and Twitter, and of course my football channel as well. And please, all your comments are very welcome. Just let us know and push that subscribe button. Don't forget, please push the subscribe button. Make sure your notifications set to public as well if you want to know when these vlogs are coming out. Push that notification button as well. So anyway, please enjoy. The Fear Street Trilogy. We're going to have a look at that today. It's been showing over 3 weeks on Netflix. I've just watched the last one this morning before doing this. Yes, I've not been able to binge watch it. That's a blow, isn't it? But they're all out there now. Directed by Lee Yaniak. So we're going to look at the Fear Street Trilogy. Based on, of course, the R.L. Stine novels. Obviously, the old Goosebumps style, isn't it? You'll have a little bit more of that in a minute. Obviously, a bit more grown up, I think, this, or it's attempting to be a little bit more grown up. Let's just have a look at the stories of all three. Fear Street Part 1 is 1994. After a series of brutal slayings, a team of their friends take on an evil force that's plagued their notorious town for centuries. Welcome to Shadyside. Yeah, of course, Yaniak, when he did these films, described them as influenced by such things as slasher films of the 90s, etc., and stuff like Scream and Friday the 13th, and The New World as well, more for the third part of this. But yeah, it's not exactly a slasher film, is it, The New World? But I can see what the director's talking about there. So that's Fear Street Part 1, 1994. We got Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Yeah, in the cursed town of Shadyside. I wouldn't want to live in Shadyside. A killer's murder spree terrorises Camp Nightwing. Yeah, we've got a kids' camp coming under a bit of murder. I think we've seen that before somewhere. And turns a summer of fun into a gruesome fight for survival. So that's number 2. And Part 3, Fear Street Part 3, is 1666. A colonial town is gripped by a witch hunt. So I assume it's Shadyside, but obviously back in 1666, that has deadly consequences for centuries to come, because they are all linked together, obviously. While teenagers in 1994 try to put an end to their town's curse before it's too late. Yeah, it sort of brings everything together, the third one. Potential future, yeah, I mean, Lee Yaniak is on about expanding the film series beyond this trilogy, and yeah, I think most of the reviews are positive from Joe Public out there, so I think there's a possibility we'll be seeing more of this. So the little scores I'm going to give you today from the various critics, etc., are as at the 16th of July 2021, 2 PM UK time. Right, Part 1. So we got to 1994 with this one. 85 reviews been left on Rotten Tomatoes. It gets an average of 7 out of 10, so that's not too bad. Kevin Mayer from the Times, he said the film oozed confidence. Benjamin Lee from the Guardian said it's the best kind of audacious Hollywood gamble, the kind that at least after chapter 1 appears to have actually paid off. Yes, brave words after one of the three, isn't it? A bit crueler though from Daily Telegraph's Robbie Collin. He said it isn't much good, but it does make you keen to find out whether the next one redeems it. Yeah, not so nice, that one. Of course, Rotten Tomatoes audience, they quite liked it. 63% positivity, 3.4 out of 5. So that equates what to 6.8 out of 10. So not too bad. That's nearly 7 out of 10. So that's not too shabby. The consensus on Rotten Tomatoes, it has more enthusiasm for its throwback setting than actual inspiration. But Fear Street's first instalment does just enough to make slasher fans interested in its sequels. It does, yeah, absolutely. The Metacritic, the other site we look at, 67% positivity, 20 scores have been left in reviews, 14 positive, 6 mixed, so not too bad. It scores anywhere between 40 out of 100 and 90 out of 100. Screen Rant's Molly Freeman gave it 40 and said, Part 1 is a perfectly fine throwback slasher horror, but is weighed down by setting up the rest of Netflix's trilogy. Okay. Slash Films Chris Evangelista gave it 75 out of 100, so very enjoyable. Fear Street is like a big soup pot full of everything. There are shades of Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, It, Halloween, Friday the 13th and more. Watching Fear Street bring back memories of wandering around musty video stores and browsing the horror section for the most lurid VHS box art you can find. Musty? Perhaps mine was sometimes. That's plenty of smelly stuff going on in the background. I mean, old boxes and stuff get a bit musty, don't they? There was something sacred about that experience, like going to church. Yeah, I wouldn't say any of these three films was a musty experience, to be honest with you. Metacritic audience, 5.8 out of 10, so not as enamoured, obviously. Internet Movie Database, Joe Public, what do we think? Well, over 25,650 reviews, 6.2 out of 10, so that's not too bad. And of that 25,000, 18,664 gave it a 6 or more out of 10, 73% positivity, so that's not too bad. So that's part one's done okay. Part two, 1978. Rotten Tomatoes, 90% positivity with 70 scores, 63 fresh and 7 rotten, scoring an average of 7 out of 10. Empire Magazine's Ian Frey said a darker middle act, I think it was. Fear Street Part 2 lacks the verve of 1994, but still delivers enjoyable summer camp-based bedlam. It certainly is bedlam in the summer camp. Clarice Luffrey of The Independent. It's a horror film lovingly tailored to the taste of those who grew up on Stine's work, yes, including his famous Goosebumps books, and have since uncovered all that genre has to offer, those with a feral imagination and a strong stomach. A rotten, yeah, there was a rotten. Globe and Mail, Barry Hertz from the Globe and Mail. A proper slasher movie should make you want to take a shower. Here I felt sparkling clean, and I know where Barry's coming from with that one. The consensus, a smart, subversive twist on slasher horror shows that summer camp has never been scarier thanks to stellar performances from Sadie Sink, Emily Rudd and Ryan Simpkins. Yeah, I think the actors did okay. I've seen some comments where they didn't rate the actors, but I thought the young actors did quite well in this. The Rotten Tomatoes audience, 3.9 out of 5, so there you go, up towards 80%. Metacritic, 15 scores, 8 positive, 7 mixed. So not overly convincing. It scores anywhere between 45 out of 100 and 83 out of 100. The AV Club's AA Dowd, he gave it 58 out of 100. The kills come and go with perfunctory swiftness that suggest a condescension to the material, not a genuine affection for it. That's why the gore feels like scant reward. There's plenty of blood, but no heart put into bumping it. Very well put, very well put. Hollywood Reporter's Lovia Giakai, 70 out of 100. She liked it a bit more. Despite the sometimes tedious pacing and repetitive script, it's a classic feeling slasher that delights in gore. Think Friday the 13th and an affirming example of Janiak's confidence behind the camera. Well, there you go. Metacritic users, 6.9 out of 10. Again, quite positive. Internet Movie Database, higher than the first one, 6.8 out of 10, with 10,700 actually scoring it 6 or more, so 88% positivity, which is very, very good. Right, on to the last one. I've not got quite as much information on this. I haven't got quite as many scores, obviously, because it's brand new. Rotten Tomatoes, 90% positivity, based on 10 critics, and it's averaging 7.5 out of 10, so I think that's the highest of the three, isn't it? But like I said, it's only a limited amount. 9 fresh and just 1 rotten. The rotten was from Lovia Giakai, again from the Hollywood Reporter. Ties up the narrative loose ends with little finesse or energy. A shame because the earlier 2 entries, chock full of pop culture references and subversive thematic underpinnings, had immense potential. Yeah, I sort of agree with that. The fresh review on this, Michael Nordine from Variety. By going into the past and connecting the dots, director Lee Janiak makes her 3 movies scare cycle more than the sum of its parts. The Rotten Tomatoes audience, yeah, 4.4 out of 5, so 8.8. So yeah, it's getting some okay scores, this third part, which I'll tell you now, it was my least likes of the 3 parts. Metacritic, 59 out of 100, but that's just 7 scores, and it scores anywhere between 50 out of 100 and 80 out of 100. And we go back to Mr. A.A. Dowd again from the AV Club. Again, he gave it 58 out of 100, as he did with part 2. And he says 1666 offers about the best you could expect from it, a modestly rewarding resolution. Like a finale that makes you glad you finished up the season, but not convinced you'll tune in for the next one. Yes, very good. He's coming up with some good ones. Internet Movie Database. Well, you know, again, liked by the general public. 432 reviews, so not masses, but not, you know, quite a few. 7.4 out of 10. That's again excellent. And 366 of that 432 scored it 6 or more. There was a lot of 10s though as well. So you know me and 10 out of 10s. I think the ringers when they put 10 out of 10s in. So that was the highest proportion, give 10 out of 10. So I'm not having that. I would say that's probably a bit skewed, that score, to be honest with you. Right, on to my little thoughts. Yeah, I mean, for an old hand like me, I've watched horrors for a while, but I remember cringing watching the Hammer House of Horror when I was about 9 or 10 in my house on BBC Two of an evening, you know. So I've watched quite a few horrors, and of course, these don't really have the power of some of the old mass murder slasher films. I mean, even the power and scariness of something like Frankenstein or the Draculas. But hey, in modern terms, they are a pretty worthwhile addition to the genre. A bit, obviously, it's R.L. Stine, it's Goosebumps, and it's a little bit more of a grown-up feel to what we've seen before. And I do like the sort of teen ones, you know, like based on the teen books, etc. But this is a little bit more of a grown-up version, trying to appeal to a more adult audience. So I can appreciate that, and appreciate a lot of people are liking this and liking the style. There are some great production values throughout the trilogy, and some very, very good, in my opinion. As I said, some good young acting talent as well. Of course, of the three, I think I've said there, I think the second was the best for me. I enjoyed it, even though, as I say, it was a bit repetitive, as one of the critics said before. At least it was not so nice and gory, although it wasn't very clever. I mean, it wasn't very. I like clever ways of killing people. It wasn't that. It was just basically, you know, go around axing people sort of thing. But I thought that was the best one, the second one, but one was okay, don't get me wrong, but to be honest, I was very, very disappointed with number 3, First Street number 3. I was very, very much a letdown. The first half obviously concentrates on 1666, and yeah, it never really got going, and then when it did, it's finished, and we go back to 1994, so yeah, it's a shame, but there you go. I mean, it does sound a little bit funny to say this, but these are all too pretty for me for a horror movie. They lack a roughness, an edge to them that obviously a proper horror slasher movie has. Even things like Scream, which are very well produced, etc. Still have that like gritty edge to them, that musty smell. Obviously, they didn't use that comparison to what I'm using it, but yeah, that mustiness. I don't think this has the mustiness. I think that's a good thing to say. And of course, these are inspired by those movies, but as I say, they're just all a little bit too glossy for me, and sort of if you like, a Disney horror slasher feel as far as I'm concerned. But obviously, I'm knocking on a bit now. The new guys are new into horror. If you can get a younger element into horror, and I'm sure they are just as much as we were when we were teenagers and in our 20s, and I'm sure this is pulling that sort of audience in. So all credit, but I wouldn't mind just a little bit better, a little bit more edgier feel to it. So it's all Disney horror for me. That's what it is. But as I say, I'm not going to do it down, because I can appreciate obviously what they're trying to do, and it's a younger audience. But for me personally, I'd like it a little bit mustier. That's the thing. And they're of the time, aren't they? This is 2020 horror. Well put together, very graphic. I won't mind a little bit of a better story, but there you go. I still probably would go back and watch a 70s or 80s horror rather than rewatch something like this again, in all fairness. Yeah, the ratings, 1994, I think it plays a little safe, that one, but it does keep you interested for that next one in the trilogy. So I did rate that about 6 out of 10 for that one. When it came to the 1978, again, as I said, not much of a story, a lot of killing, but no real wonderful way of doing it. That's why I like things like Final Destination. I like to find weird ways of killing people. I think that's part and parcel of it, but it's pretty basic in 1978. So I'm going to give that, but I will give it a 6.5 out of 10, because I did quite enjoy that one, and I certainly enjoyed it the best of the three. Yeah, but 1666, a bit of a wuss for me, a bit of a whimper. It does tie up the other two. It does tie up all the loose ends, so we know what's going on, we know where we've got to, and all that sort of thing. But it does again lack real darkness, and again back to Disney horror style again. So I am going to only rate that 5.5 out of 10. I just thought it was the worst of the three. Yet all the ratings I've sort of shouted out there more or less disagree with that. They think it's probably the best of the three. I didn't, and it goes on for nearly 2 hours, and it was just too long for what you get. So overall my score is going to be, yeah, a watchable 6 out of 10, as I said, and a lot of people are getting more out of it than I have. But as I say, I think that's a new thing now. I want my horrors to be musty, so that's what I want for future reference. Let me know. I don't want bright and glitzy. You sort of expect them to burst into song from time to time when I was watching these. So there you go. That sort of sums it up. Let me know what you think. Anyway, as I said, I totally appreciate. I've got my old head on, and obviously it might appeal to a younger audience. And as I say, it is Stine. It is linked to Goosebumps, trying to grow to a more adult audience, and it does okay, but yeah, not quite hit the spot for me, unfortunately. But 6 out of 10, watchable score. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. We're going to do the rest of the day. Have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other. So we meet here again on the Film and TV channel, or perhaps have a flick across. Have a look at my football channel if you're interested, my Citizen channel. I only ever ask you to do one simple thing, please. Stay safe, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.